In this episode of Highlight Sundays, even more PSAs and, well, some pretty cool stuff. Hello and welcome back to Highlight Sundays. It is the 51st week of 2013 and here are your highlights. Our first article is a PSA that has been the talk of the town this week. Coming from Moto, this is an article entitled Target confirms up to 40 million credit and debit cards hacked. This has to be one of the largest and scariest sounding breaches in recent history, seeing as that according to the article in this case, the information that got compromised includes things like the customer's name, billing address, credit card number, as well as their CVV. And this is basically more than enough information to make a purchase from any of the compromised credit cards. If you live in the US and you've recently shopped at Target using a card, well, chances are you are affected. It was estimated that the date range of the data being compromised falls between November the 27th and December 15th. So if you've made a purchase at Target using a card during this time, chances are you might be affected. And with regard to closure for this entire incident, unfortunately there isn't very much to say. All we know is investigations are ongoing and relevant authorities have been contacted regarding this issue. We move on to our next article from Lifehacker, also a PSA. This one is dedicated to the people who like to buy things secondhand off the internet. This article is entitled, How Can I Avoid Buying a Stolen Phone? So of course, if you buy a phone secondhand, there is that risk that you're actually buying something that was stolen. This article actually suggests some ways in which you can safeguard yourself against this possibility. And while by the looks of it, this isn't really a foolproof method, at least it could help you somewhat. One method they suggested was to actually check the IMEI numbers against the blacklist held by the carriers. For this to work, of course, the phone must be reported as lost in the first place, and you'll have to check every single carrier to make sure you're not missing out any such information. A number of other methods are suggested as well, but I bring this up in particular because it seems to be pretty efficient and useful. Like the article says, if you end up with a stolen phone, they could actually terminate your service. And well, that will create more problems for you. And at this point, it might be pretty hard to track down the thief. He's probably taken your money and gone somewhere else. So anyway, for more tips regarding this issue, do head down to the video description and look for the Lifehacker article. Now here's another futuristic and scary PSA. You remember maybe 1 or 2 episodes back, I basically shared with you an article that outlines a piece of malware that can actually transmit data over inaudible sound. Today, we have an article from Ars Technica that shows something potentially more scary. This article is entitled, New Attack Steals Email Decryption Keys by Capturing Computer Sounds. So basically here's what's happening. When your computer is performing a certain type of process, it will be producing a certain type of sound. And so what these guys have done is they've found a way to record this sound and actually make sense out of this data. In this particular case, it is for a malicious use. They can actually use this to find the key used for decrypting an email message and can actually use that key then to access your data. Another similar method outlined in this article, which taps on the byproduct of processing, is to actually somehow tap into some kind of ground voltage coming from the computer. That means you can tap it from a variety of places like a VGA cable, an Ethernet cable, even the chassis of your computer. By using a similar method of recognizing a fingerprint of when encryption or decryption processes are happening, you can actually tap onto this current and try to make sense of the information. These attacks of course require quite a bit of resources and technical knowledge to pull off, so at least they probably won't be out in the wild for a while. There are also ways to prevent this from happening. For example, if you are running multiple tasks, each of them will actually load the CPU and as a result create a pattern that is different and will actually mask the effect of the decryption algorithm. Definitely an interesting concept with quite a lot of potential, so hopefully, things develop further and we can prevent such catastrophe from happening. Moving out of the PSAs into the cool stuff, this article comes from Mashable and is entitled Print Ad for the Moto X Changes Colors When You Touch It. Basically, this article covers an ad that will be run in the January edition of the Wired magazine. If you head down to the article in the video description, you will see a video that is showcasing this. Basically, in this magazine, in that particular page, they've embedded a battery, a number of switches and LEDs for you to actually achieve this effect. So yeah, I guess this is a pretty interesting and innovative way of advertising a product. So yeah, it's cool, that's why I shared it with you. Moving on, a DIY project from lifehacker.com. This one is entitled Mount a Raspberry Pi powered Google Calendar on your wall. So the idea is this: you get an old monitor that you're not using anymore, you get a Raspberry Pi, and well, you just cobble them together and hang it up. I think what's cool about this isn't just the fact that, well, now you can have Google Calendar on your wall. I think what's more cool about this is that it shows how the size of Raspberry Pi, coupled with an old monitor, can actually be used to create some pretty cool DIY projects. I've had my own plans to make something along those lines as well, even though I didn't have the time to actually make it work. But yeah, it's definitely still a very interesting concept and something I like to try out myself. So once again, you can head down to the video description, you'll get a link to this article, and if you like to actually follow along with this project, there's a link to a DIY page as well. Anyway, that's it for the articles today. We've just had 3 episodes of Sorting Algorithms ++ go up, so hopefully you are enjoying and learning from them. I've had a pretty crazy week with 2 photography sessions and various little shoots. Of course, I'm trying to backlog as many episodes of Sorting Algorithms as I can, and I'm currently midway through cutting down episode 5. At least, well, I've shot a few more episodes than that. I am up to episode 6. I'm gonna shoot maybe 1 or 2 more today. So yeah, at least I guess I'm ahead in the having shot so many videos front, and that's always a good thing. Anyway, that's pretty much all there is for this episode of Highlight Sundays. If you have any comments, queries or suggestions, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. Don't forget to check out the official Twitter account for this channel at twitter.com/0612tv. As always, I appreciate every like, favorite and subscription you give me. But until next time, you're watching 0612TV.